Imagine standing in front of the person who destroyed your life, and she doesn't even recognize you. 18 years ago, Moon Dong-eun was screaming on a gym floor while a curling iron burned her skin. Today, she's back, and she's not here for an apology. She's here for total destruction. Many years ago, Moon Dong-eun was just 17 years old. She was quiet, the kind of student who kept her head down and tried desperately to be invisible. But when Park Yeon-jin decides to make her a target, invisibility becomes impossible. Yeon-jin has everything. The daughter of a powerful family who treats the world like her personal playground. Her designer uniform costs more than Dong-eun's monthly rent, and her crew follows her everywhere. Choi Hye-jeong, the artistic one with perfectly styled hair. Lee Sara, who arrives to school in a chauffeur-driven car. Jeon Jae-jun, the rugby player with a smile that never reaches his eyes. And Sun Myeong-oh, the scholarship student who does whatever Yeon-jin says just to stay in the circle. When Yeon-jin starts targeting Dong-eun, no one stops her. They start with small cruelties, bumping into her in hallways, mocking her clothes, but soon the games escalate into something much darker. One afternoon, Yeon-jin and her friends corner Dong-eun in the gym storage room. Dong-eun glances at the door, then at the window, then back at Jae-jun's phone. She tries to run, but they hold her down. Yeon-jin sits there, holding a curling iron she's heated to over 400 degrees. They laugh. Dong-eun fights, but they pin her down. Yeon-jin presses the curling iron against her skin. Her arms, her legs, her back, her stomach. Anywhere the scars can be hidden under a uniform. To Yeon-jin, this is just entertainment, a slow Tuesday afternoon where she found something interesting to do. Dong-eun is an object, a thing to experiment on when boredom strikes. The screaming echoes through the storage room, but the school is huge and no one hears her. When they finally let her go, Dong-eun can barely stand. Her skin is covered in burns, blistering, some already turning into angry red welts that will never fully heal. She stumbles out of the storage room, down the empty hallway, out of the school building. The next day, she gathers every ounce of courage she has left. She goes to her homeroom teacher and shows him the burns, the evidence written on her skin. Teacher Kim Jong-moon stares at the injuries. He already knows who did this. But Yeon-jin's family has just donated a new science building to the school. Her father plays golf with the principal. In this world, some students matter more than others. He suggests that Dong-eun sign a form and drop out due to maladjustment to school life. When she refuses, he slaps her hard across the face. Desperate and running out of options, Dong-eun contemplates showing her mother the burns. Unknown to her, her mom has met with Yeon-jin's mom and accepted money as a settlement. She agrees to sign papers citing Dong-eun's reason for dropping out as maladjustment. Dong-eun finds out about the payout and betrayal the next morning when her mom moves out of their house without telling her. Years pass. Dong-eun works 3 jobs at once: convenience store clerk during the day, factory worker in the evening, late-night delivery driver until dawn. She sleeps 4 hours a night if she's lucky. Every single one she earns goes into savings. No new clothes, no entertainment, no social life. At the factory, she meets Gu Seong-hee, one of the few people who shows her kindness. Seong-hee doesn't understand why Dong-eun is so obsessed with revenge. She thinks she should let it go, but she helps anyway. She helps Dong-eun create fake social media accounts to stalk the bullies. She watches as Dong-eun maps out their lives and their weaknesses. Myeong-oh now works odd jobs for Jae-jun, living the bad boy life, but still at the bottom of their hierarchy. Sara has become an artist with a serious drug problem. Hye-jeong is a flight attendant, beautiful and polished on the outside. Jae-jun owns a high-end store called Siesta, and he's having an affair with Yeon-jin, even though she's engaged to someone else. And Yeon-jin is getting married to Do-hyun, heir to the Jae-pyong Corporation, in the most lavish ceremony money can buy. Dong-eun uses her savings to complete her GED. She studies alone in small rented rooms, surrounded by stacks of textbooks and empty instant noodle cups. She moves from community college to university, majoring in education. She earns her teaching certification with top marks. While working as a tutor during her studies, she collapses from anemia and exhaustion. At the hospital, she meets Joo-young, a young medical intern who notices she has no emergency contact listed and no visitors. He encounters her again near her university and approaches her out of concern. He teaches her how to play Go, and they form a connection. After she feels she understands enough, she gradually distances herself and stops responding to him. She isn't ready to open up to anyone. Years later, Seoul has changed into a city of gleaming skyscrapers, luxury brands, and constant displays of wealth. Now, Park Yeon-jin is a national weather forecaster. She's rich, successful, married to Do-hyun, and lives in a luxury penthouse in Gangnam. They have an 8-year-old daughter, Hye-jeong, who attends Jaepyeong Elementary School. And now, something unbelievable has happened. Moon Dong-un is hired as a homeroom teacher at the same school. One day, Dong-un tries to steal Yeon-jin's trash and is caught by Hyun-nam, Yeon-jin's employee. Hyun-nam watches her carefully, realizing this woman is not just a random thief. When Dong-un explains that she is targeting Yeon-jin, Hyun-nam doesn't run away. She listens. Hyun-nam works in Yeon-jin's building and is being physically abused by her husband. Her daughter Suna lives in fear inside that home. Every night Hyun-nam comes home wondering what mood he will be in. Every sound in the hallway makes her flinch. Dong-un offers Hyun-nam an agreement. Assist with gathering information about Yeon-jin and her circle, and Dong-un will arrange for Suna to study abroad in the United States. Hyun-nam accepts. For the first time, she sees a way out for her daughter. Dong-un teaches her how to drive, how to use a digital camera, and how to follow people without being noticed. She buys her a car and establishes a system where information is left inside the vehicle and retrieved later. They avoid direct contact unless necessary. Through surveillance, Hyun-nam photographs Yeon-jin and her daughter leaving an eye clinic. From this, Dong-un confirms that Ye-sol is colorblind. Jeon Jae-jun is also colorblind. The pattern is too strong to ignore. At the same time, Hyun-nam discovers that Chairman Kim Shin-tae, who oversees the school, is secretly gay. Dong-un uses that information privately to secure her teaching position at the school. At a school event, Sara wins an art award. Yeon-jin invites the gang to celebrate at their old school. Dong-un confronts them in the gym storage room where they tortured her all those years ago. She stays calm, watching them squirm. Yeon-jin loses her cool and slaps Dong-un hard across the face. But Dong-un just smiles, congratulates Yeon-jin on her award, and promises to watch her weather broadcast. So-hee was Dong-eun's only close friend in high school. After graduation in 2004, Yeon-jin's group attended a party at a vacation house owned by Jae-jun's family. So-hee was present that night. That night, she died. The official report states that So-hee was intoxicated, fell, and hit her head. The case was ruled an accident and closed quickly. Witness statements were ignored. Medical records show injuries inconsistent with a simple fall. Later, Dong-un starts reviewing archived documents and old reports. She digs through dusty files and forgotten boxes. She discovers that the father of So-hee's unborn child was Jeon Jae-jun. He had raped her, and So-hee had become pregnant. When So-hee confronted him, Yeon-jin intervened. During a rooftop confrontation, Yeon-jin burned So-hee with a curling iron and pushed her from the building, killing her. During the struggle, So-hee tore off Yeon-jin's name tag. Yeon-jin contacted her mother, who contacted Shin Yong-jun, a corrupt detective. The scene was staged. Evidence was removed. Witnesses were paid. Young Dong-un found the name tag and anonymously sent it to the police. The assigned detective was Shin Yong-jun. He returned the evidence to Yeon-jin's mother, who locked it away. So-hee's body remained unclaimed for years because her heartbroken mother refused burial without justice. Dong-un reconnects with Joo-young in a park. Autumn leaves fall around them as they speak. She finally tells him what she is planning. Hye-jeong's father was murdered years earlier by a patient he treated. The killer continues sending him letters from prison. After hearing Dong-un's plan and seeing her scars, Hye-jeong agrees to help. He asks what he can do. She tells him she needs an executioner, someone willing to get their hands dirty for the hunt. Hye-jeong looks at the scars on her arms, her legs, all the burns she is carrying. He doesn't look away. He makes a decision. He will help her until the end. Dong-un approaches son Myeong-oh, who is financially unstable and still dependent on Jae-jun. She meets him on the rooftop of the old abandoned building where So-hee died. She reminds him about So-hee, about the murder they all helped cover up. Myeong-oh denies knowing anything about murder. Dong-won offers him a deal. Help her get a confession from Yeon-jin that she killed So-hee, and Dong-eun will help him get money from the real murderer. In return for this promise, Myeong-oh gives Dong-eun hair strands he collected from Jae-jun. A DNA test confirms what Dong-eun suspected. Chairman Kim Shin-tae personally introduces Dong-eun to the school faculty. One teacher whispers that Dong-eun must be the chairman's mistress. Dong-eun introduces herself to her class and sets clear rules. She will not allow bullying under any circumstances. Yeon-jin gets a call from her daughter, telling her the new teacher is Dong-eun. She rushes to the school to confront her. Dong-eun makes her position clear. She became Ye-sol's teacher, on purpose. She also came back to Semyong, on purpose. She reminds Yeon-jin that she once said Yeon-jin was her dream. Now the dream is becoming a nightmare. Yeon-jin tries to assert dominance. She says that a nobody like Dong-eun doesn't stand a chance of ruining her. She tells Dong-eun to do her best, but as she walks away, her face is crumpled and she's shaking. She doesn't want Dong-eun to hurt Ye-sol. Dong-eun pays a visit to teacher Kim Jong-moon, the homeroom teacher who refused to help her. He's old now, living with his son Sung-hoon, who's on the verge of passing the school inspector exams. When teacher Kim finally recognizes Dong-eun, he becomes violent. He attacks her with the flowers she brought. Sung-hoon holds him back and asks what's happening. Dong-eun calmly explains that she was planning to post on the official education forum about what his father did to her when she was 17. Sung-hoon's eyes move to the exam books. Back to Dong-eun. Back to his father. He makes a choice that night. He invites his father over to his apartment. He fills it with flowers, the kind that trigger his father's severe asthma. Then he takes away his father's medication. He stands there and watches him struggle. Teacher Kim Jong-moon dies that night. The death is ruled accidental. No one questions it. Meanwhile, Hye-jeong has become fascinated by someone playing Go at a local center. The player's strategy is brilliant, unconventional, patient. That player is Dong-eun. When they finally play together, Do-young is captivated. He tries to learn more about her, but she keeps her answers short and mysterious. She wins the first round. He asks for another game and offers money as stakes. Dong-eun is infiltrating every corner of Yeon-jin's life. Her daughter's classroom, her husband's interests, her friend's secrets. Yeon-jin approaches Dong-eun and offers to pay her money to disappear. She tells Dong-eun that she is not capable of a sincere apology. Dong-eun brings up Hye-sol's color blindness and reminds Yeon-jin that there are so many ways she can make her life impossible as Hye-sol's teacher. She asks Yeon-jin not to test her on how far she is willing to go. She assures her that the two of them will die together, and she is excited for them. Dong-eun visits the church run by Sarah's father. She confronts Sarah directly. She gives Sarah an empty black bag and 15 days to fill it with dollars. When Sarah protests that such a request is illegal, Dong-eun grabs her by her hair. She tells her this is only the beginning. Sarah, desperate and going through drug withdrawal, eventually complies. Dong-eun plans to use this money to fund Suna's education abroad, getting Hyun-nam's daughter away from her abusive father. Yeon-jin is desperate. She visits her husband's office and tries to convince him to send their daughter abroad. Do-young finds the suggestion strange, and Yeon-jin dismisses it and leaves. She asks her mom to investigate Dong-eun and find out all she can about her. Meanwhile, Jae-jun receives the result of a secret DNA test confirming Ye-sol is his daughter. Son Myeong-oh has been calling everyone in the group, setting up individual meetings, and planning to blackmail them all about So-hee's murder. He also sends a message to Yeon-jin's husband. He's booked a one-way ticket to Russia and plans to take the money and disappear. He meets Yeon-jin at 11 p.m. at Jae-jun's store. Yeon-jin sees through his blackmail scheme immediately. She destroys his phone so he can't record their conversation. Myeong-oh brings up So-hee and claims to have evidence in his pocket. Yeon-jin checks and finds only a condom. Myeong-oh laughs at her, mocks her, asks to sleep with her. Yeon-jin's breathing changes. Her chin drops slightly. She picks up the whiskey bottle. She strikes him across the head. He tries to stand. She hits him again. And again. As Myeong-oh lies on the floor, he uses his ring to scratch her leg, leaving a distinctive wound. Yeonjin has done this before, so she knows what to do. She cleans the murder weapon. She changes out of her blood-stained dress. She calls Shin Young-jun. The corrupt detective and his men arrive with a large blue box. They carry Myeong-oh's body out and dispose of his phone in the Han River. They take the body to Yongsan Funeral Home, where they clean all evidence. Shin Young-jun suggests waiting until it rains before burying him so everything gets contaminated. Yeonjin deletes the security footage and destroys her dress. Later, Yeonjin goes to Hye-jeong's plastic surgery clinic for a filler treatment set up by Hye-jeong as part of Do-hyun's plan. While Yeonjin is under anesthesia, Hye-jeong takes a sample from the scratch wound on her leg. Just before she goes under, he casually asks what she did to Myeong-oh. Yeonjin's drugged mind starts replaying that night. Every detail, every moment. When she wakes up, her eyes open and scan the room immediately. She asks to see the security footage. The nurse explains there are no cameras in operating rooms. Hye-jeong has her DNA and her confession on recording. Do-hyun is not a stupid man. He's been noticing things. The way his wife reacts when Dong-eun's name comes up. The cigarette brand Jae-jun smokes. His secretary gives him a USB flash drive left behind by Myeong-oh. The flash drive is evidence of Yeonjin's affair with Jae-jun, and as he drives home, he throws it away. When he can't find Myeong-oh, Do-young starts looking into his wife's past. Her high school years, her friends. Hye-sol, the daughter Do-young has raised for 8 years, isn't his biological daughter. She's John Jae-jun's. Yeonjin had an affair, got pregnant, and lied about it for 8 years. She let Do-young bond with Hye-sol, raise her, love her as his own daughter, all while knowing the truth. Do-young meets with Dong-eun at a hotel in Seoul, private and discreet. He asks to hear her side of the story first because she's the victim. When he sees her scars, the burns covering her arms and body, he goes still. He asks what she wants from him. Dong-eun is direct. She wants him to leave Yeonjin, to divorce her and help destroy her perfect life. Do-young admits he can't do that yet. He won't explain why. Perhaps for Hye-sol's sake. Perhaps because of his family's reputation. But something shifts in him during this conversation. He starts playing Go with Hye-jeong, who has moved to Semyong and opened his own clinic. When they play together, Hye-jeong tells Do-young directly that he's helping Dong-eun get revenge and that she deserves to be happy after everything is done. Do-young says he wants the same thing. They both understand they're on different sides of this war, but respect the other's position. Do-young asks if Hye-jeong will be there for Dong-eun when it's all over. Hye-jeong promises he will. Through Hyun-nam's surveillance, Dong-eun discovers that Shin Young-jun has been paying to store Myeong-oh's body and the name tag at an abandoned funeral home, keeping it as leverage against Yeonjin. Dong-eun and Hye-jeong buy the funeral home anonymously. When they inspect it, they find Myeong-oh's body in the freezer, perfectly preserved. This is the physical proof they need, but they don't report it to the police yet. Meanwhile, Dong-eun deals with another predator. Mr. Chu, a teacher at the school, has been secretly photographing female students inappropriately. Dong-eun discovers this and sets a trap. She sends a USB containing the photos to Jae-jun, framing it as if they're photos of Hye-sol. Jae-jun arrives at school and beats Mr. Chu nearly to death with his own camera. Hye-sol witnesses this and calls her father Do-young. The police arrive. Jae-jun is arrested. At the police station, Do-young shows up with lawyers to help settle the case quietly. Outside, Jae-jun confronts him about Hye-sol and tells Do-young directly that he's Hye-sol's biological father. They get into a physical fight in the parking lot. Do-young, normally calm and controlled, beats Jae-jun badly. When they're finally separated, Do-young leaves Jae-jun with a warning. "Stay away from my daughter. Come near her again and I'll destroy you." Yeonjin shows up at the airport and threatens to have Hye-jeong find Suna before she boards. Hyun-nam gets on her knees, begging Yeonjin to leave her daughter alone. Yeonjin forces Hyun-nam to tell her about Dong-eun's other helpers. Hyun-nam mentions a man, handsome and young, a surgeon with a clinic in Semyong. When Yeonjin realizes she's talking about Hye-jeong, whose family owns Ju General Hospital where So-hee's body is stored, she goes quiet for a moment. Then she leaves Hyun-nam with a cruel parting shot. She won't give Hyun-nam's husband gambling money that day, so he'll be home early. Her husband's footsteps in the hallway. Hyun-nam doesn't make it to the airport. That night, Hyun-nam's husband beats her to within an inch of her life. He also finds a lot of money in her purse. His eyes change. He starts thinking about how to extort more. Hyun-nam, in pain and out of options, tells him about a strange woman who asked her to send a message. Her husband decides to start blackmailing Yeon-jin's mother. This will be his fatal mistake. Yeon-jin makes her move against Dong-un. She tracks down Dong-un's mother and recruits her help to get Dong-un fired from the school. Dong-un's mother shows up at the school drunk, causing a scene, starts calling other parents, claiming Dong-un is taking bribes. They get into a physical fight that leaves Dong-un with a scar on her face. Her mother, in a fit of rage, intentionally starts a fire in the apartment. Dong-yeon escapes and sits in her car. Jae-jun arrives at that moment, angry because he thinks Dong-un told Do-young about Ye-sol. Hye-jeong shows up just in time, nearly hitting Jae-jun with his car. He pretends to apologize, gives Jae-jun his business card, and helps Dong-un escape. Back at his apartment, Dong-un retreats to the tent Hye-jeong set up for her. Hye-jeong tells her through the tent canvas that he's there for her, that he'll always be there. Dong-un asks how he found her. He admits her mother texted him. She cries herself to sleep while Hye-jeong keeps watch outside. The next morning, they use video evidence of Dong-un's mother starting the fire to have her committed to a rehabilitation facility. Dong-yeon turns her attention to Sara. She hires gang members Song Hye introduced her to. They help her plant drugs in the basement of Sara's father's church. Dong-un sends Sara a photo of the drugs, inviting her to the Garden of Eden. Sara, unable to resist, goes to the church basement and takes the drugs. She doesn't realize Dong-un is recording everything. The drugs cause hallucinations and she begins touching herself. Sara loses herself completely. Dong-yeon broadcasts the recording to all the church parishioners. One by one, people file out of the pews. Yeon-jin arrives and confronts Dong-un. Says Sara is a first-time offender, that she'll get out soon, that Dong-un won't be able to beat them. Dong-un responds calmly, tells Yeon-jin to do her best. At that exact moment, Song Hye uploads a story online exposing weather forecaster A for school violence. Yeon-jin's phone starts buzzing with notifications, 1, then 10, then the screen barely stops between them. Dong-un calls her a murderer. Yeon-jin asks if she has proof. Dong-un tells her she has no idea. At Myeong-oh's funeral, Hye-jeong uploads a video of Sara performing oral sex on Myeong-oh, seeking revenge for her own reasons. Sara realizes it was Hye-jeong who posted it. She grabs a pen from her hair and drives it into Hye-jeong's throat. The room erupts. Yeon-jin and Sara are fighting. So-hee's mother arrives and tears at Myeong-oh's memorial photo with both hands. Police swarm the scene and Sara is arrested. Hye-jeong is rushed to hospital where doctors save her life but cannot repair her vocal cords. She will never speak again. When Jae-jun hears this news, he calls to ask if he should send over her belongings. Hye-jeong stares at the phone in her hospital bed and doesn't answer. She helped him, loved him, planned to raise his daughter, and now his number is on her screen. Hyun-nam's husband has been blackmailing Yeon-jin's mother about the murders. The mother, desperate, arranges a meeting through a shaman. She offers him 1 billion won to stop. That night, Yeon-jin's mother runs him over with her car. Shin Young-jun is in the passenger seat, forced to corroborate her story. The police rule it an accident. Yeon-jin's mother is told to settle with the victim's family. Hyun-nam identifies her husband's body at the morgue, playing the role of grieving wife without any visible strain. The shaman, working with Dong-un, performs an elaborate act of being possessed by So-hee's spirit. Yeon-jin begins seeing So-hee's ghost everywhere. A face at the window, a figure at the end of a corridor. The psychological pressure is just beginning. Dong-un's hired men move Myeong-oh's body from the freezer to outside the funeral home. An anonymous tip is called into the police. When they process the scene, they find DNA evidence under Myeong-oh's fingernails, evidence that Hye-jeong carefully planted. Yeon-jin's DNA, taken from her leg wound during the clinic procedure. The DNA matches evidence found at So-hee's crime scene 18 years ago, on a lighter that was there when she died. The detective working Myeong-oh's case finally has what he needs. The same person killed both So-hee and Myeong-oh. Park Yeon-jin. Police start collecting DNA samples from everyone involved. Yeon-jin receives a video showing the night Myeong-oh died. She drives to Jae-jun's store and finds police tape across the fitting room door. Officers are already there. She's arrested at the threshold. Jae-jun, realizing Ye-sol has been transferred to a school abroad without his knowledge, tries desperately to call Do-young. When he can't reach him, he calls Dong-un. As he drives to confront Dong-un, his eyesight gets progressively worse. Hye-jeong, following Dong-un's instructions before being dumped by Jae-jun, had switched his glaucoma medication with drops that would accelerate his vision loss. Jae-jun crashes his car badly, but he survives. Do-young finds him. The mild-mannered corporate heir who believed in doing things properly and followed rules his whole life. He looks at Jae-jun, the man who fathered his daughter through an affair, who destroyed his marriage, who was part of the group that burned an innocent girl. Do-young makes a choice. He throws Jae-jun off the building, has the body buried in cement, then takes Ye-sol and leaves the country for the UK, where they'll start a new life far from all of this. Yeon-jin sits in prison, signing her divorce settlement. Do-young visits in person to deliver the papers. She asks if she can write to Ye-sol. Do-young doesn't answer. He tells her to take care of herself and leaves. Yeon-jin's mother is arrested for murdering Hyun-nam's husband. Sara is in prison for attempted murder and drug possession. Her father is arrested for embezzling church funds. Hye-jeong is mute and alone. Jae-jun is dead. Myeong-oh is dead. Shin Young-jeon's own men killed him when they discovered he was planning to abandon them and flee to Hawaii. Dong-hyun visits Yeon-jin in prison, tells her she wants her to remember her every single day and to regret her life every day until the end. Yeon-jin, still defiant, says she has nothing to regret. But there's one thing that's driving her to distraction. She still doesn't know who actually killed Myeong-oh. The truth is that Kyung-ran, another victim of Jae-jun's sexual assaults, was in the store that night. She saw Yeon-jin hit Myeong-oh and saw him still breathing as she left. Traumatized by years of abuse from this group, she picked up the bottle and struck him one final time. The killing blow was hers. She texted Dong-un afterward, confessing everything and asking for help. Dong-un promised to protect her. But Dong-un doesn't tell Yeon-jin any of this. She leaves her with final words instead. She'll pray for Yeon-jin to live a horrible life in prison. She refuses to give her the truth about what really happened. That uncertainty, not knowing, will stay with Yeon-jin for the rest of her life. Dong-un knows this. That's why she doesn't say it. Yeon-jin screams that she'll kill Dong-un. The words hit the glass and go nowhere. Dong-un leaves the prison and burns all the photos she collected over the years. All the evidence of her surveillance. All the planning. She says goodbye to the past. Then she goes to the abandoned building where So-hee died. She stands at the edge of the rooftop, looking down. For 18 years, revenge was the only thing keeping her alive. The bullies are punished. Justice for So-hee has been served. She looks out over the city that let all of this happen. She's about to step forward when someone grabs her arm. Hye-jeong's mother holds her wrist. She begs Dong-un not to kill herself. She says that by dying, she'll be killing Hye-jeong too. She knows what Dong-un has been through, but death isn't the answer. She pleads with Dong-un to save her son from the hell he's going through with Yong-chun, the man who killed his father and still sends taunting letters. Dong-un steps back from the edge. She chooses to live. Dong-un spends 6 months at a Buddhist monastery, finding peace for the first time in her life. There, she befriends a powerful woman who agrees to help transfer Yong-cheon to a stricter prison, Jisan prison, where Hye-jeong can access him. Hye-jeong spends those 6 months missing her. When Dong-un finally comes home, he accuses her of being cruel for leaving. She tells him she missed him. He asks why she left in the first place. Maybe, Dong-un admits, she left because of love and not revenge. Hye-jeong tells her his revenge didn't go as planned and Yong-chun is still tormenting him. Dong-un offers to give him lessons and promises to be his executioner this time. She grabs him and kisses him. He kisses her back. Dong-un visits So-hee's grave, finally able to tell her that justice was served. Hyun-nam opens a small restaurant while waiting for Suna to finish school in America. When Dong-un reaches out asking for help with Hye-jeong's revenge, Hyun-nam immediately agrees. Dong-un becomes a volunteer teacher at Jisan prison. Hye-jeong gets a job there as a medical officer. In the final scene, they drive to the prison together. Before going inside, they confess their love for each other. Then they walk through the gate. And that was the story of The Glory. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to subscribe and let me know in the comments what you thought of this drama or which one you would like me to recap next.